On my last episode, we went over the early Misato of the story, from episode 1 to episode 6. She was introduced as a fan service figure and evolved into Captain Katsuragi, devising Operation Yashima to defeat Ramyo. So far, we know that Shinji has grew on Misato, as he is the only one that has remained with her and represents stability. Emotionally, she is vulnerable. Furthermore, she is lost and trying to find herself. She uses her strong sexuality to feel empowered towards others. She is a horrible housekeeper and had problems communicating with Shinji. But also, she is highly professional, of strong character, and willing to do anything that it takes to get the job done. She is a pluridimensional character that deserves our attention. This is Misato Overexplained Part 2. If you haven't watched the first part of this character study, you can find it in the annotation on the upper right corner of your screen. I will also pin the link on the video description down below so you can find it easily. Now, let's begin. Misato starts episode 7 drinking. As we already established, this is a habit of hers. She is a heavy drinker. Her relationship with Shinji has improved. Now Shinji is not scared of that sexually dominant figure that Misato is, but he treats her as her friend, as her best friend, to the point that he now judges her. How dares him! She has to attend as his legal adult representative to his school for a meeting, something that brings him shame. The projection of her strong sexuality is something that ashames him, to the point that he asks her not to let his friends look at her on her nightwear, something that she agrees to. Misato, although having fun with Shinji's seriousness, she respects him, and she is not an idiot. She knows that she is every teenager dream girl. However, this is important because Shinji is asking her to change something on her basic behavior, and she is comfortable on agreeing on his request. Shinji's sarcasm is something that has grown on her, but it's also part of Misato's job to take care of Shinji's well-being. Remember, he is the most valuable asset that Nerv has, even more valuable than Rei, as she can be replaced. Misato then gets to Shinji's school and every boy's testosterone goes wild. They go nuts for Misato. She enjoys the attention. An attractive woman that portrays happiness and self-confidence is something really hard to resist. She knows that and decides to give them a little taste of her, greeting them. But we as an audience know better, as does Shinji. Misato is a hot mess. In this episode we get some background on the event known as the Second Impact. Notice the seriousness of Misato's face. If you're watching the show for the first time, you will suspect that there is something else on the story. You were not wrong, as Misato was, in fact, on ground zero. An event that will define her personality and her destiny. Misato uses her sexuality to escape from her tragic past, but also uses her job to find herself, to not get lost on her own sexual appetite. The director uses transition between scenes to softly establish that. 1 minute she is the desired woman, then a period of reflection, resulting on her most serious side. Captain Katsuragi is back, to the point that Shinji and Pen are surprised by the sudden change. Captain Katsuragi has an appointment with Dr. Akagi, as they were invited as Nerv's representative to the unveiling of a new super weapon that is intended to be used as an alternative to the Evangelion units to deter the angel threats, the jet alone. On this scene is curious to say the least, to watch that the only table that is almost empty is Nerv's, in contrast to the others. Also, we can notice the majority of male representatives on the other tables, while Ritsuko and Misato are 2 females on Nerv's. That's right, Gendo Ikari is an equal opportunity employer. Nerv has a lot to hide, and because of this, they cannot easily defend their purpose. We see Misato's frustration to appear once again as she kicks the door for the second time on the story. This is becoming a trend of Misato's character. Every time she feels impotent, she kicks a door. Ritsuko, however, keeps her cool. The reason is that she knows better as Misato does not know the deepest secret and the real purpose of Nerv. In the next scene, again a scene dominated by men, in contrast to the two high-profile Nerv officials, Misato is somehow surprised by the jet alone, while Ritsuko is not. She's just there, waiting for something to happen. The jet alone goes out of control and Misato quickly takes over the whole situation, once again imposing her strong personality against weak men. She's also the most experienced one on handling these kind of situations. Captain Katsuragi is a decision maker, as we already established on my previous episode. This can be explained by the trauma that was watching her father die in front of her while she was unable to do anything. Now, as a grown woman, she takes the initiative. She won't be sitting down expecting something to happen. She decided to go into a highly radioactive environment to prevent a nuclear meltdown. She's putting her life on the line to save others. She's doing a heroic deed. Another layer of her personality. She is now inspiring. This is the first episode that we see Misato in action. Shinji is there to lend her a hand, but he's not the hero in this particular story. He's just there as support. Shinji is worried about Misato's well-being, but she already made a decision and he has to respect it. Shinji is not stupid, and even though Misato tries to bring him comfort by saying that inside the EVA he would survive a nuclear explosion, he knows that Misato won't survive it. But then she says that if she does not do this deed, she will never forget herself. She is now willing to give her own life to save others, just like her father did for her. Shinji tried to stop the jet alone and Misato almost fell from it. We see then a similar image that the one we saw earlier. Victory. Misato is telling Shinji everything is going to be alright. This is Misato's true personality. She really believes that everything will work out at the end, even if she dies. Something goes wrong, Misato is unable to deactivate the unit, she thinks quickly, tries to solve it, and for some reason, it worked. Captain Katsuragi saved the day. Although there is a lot of speculation for what really happened to the jet alone, the only things that we can be certain of is Nerv's involvement. But we don't actually know who saved Misato. Was it Ritsuko or was it Kaji? The show never specifies it. If it wasn't for Misato's involvement, we can deduct that Nerv would have let the jet alone to explode. Then we end the episode with the traditional morning routine. Misato is a mess, Shinji is angry with her being a mess, then his friends point out that the reason that he feels that way is because they are family, which brings him happiness. I took a lot of time analyzing this episode because episode 7 is Misato's episode, and it's crucial to discover her other layers of personality. Now we can move on. If episode 7 was Misato's episode 8 is definitely Asuka's. This episode starts with Misato making a bold decision. Take Shinji's friend to a military convoy. She does this to keep Shinji happy and on his comfort zone, even that we leave Tokyo 3. We can also deduct the second reason for it. Misato knows that Asuka is about to meet Shinji, and as established, Misato already knows Asuka. She knows that Shinji is going to be overwhelmed by her strong personality, and one way to prevent him going insane is trying to keep him as sane as she can. Asuka of course wants to impose her dominant personality over the little boy that Shinji is, and address to Misato as her equal. Misato, however, knows better, as she points out how big she has gotten. This is a soft way for Misato to tell Asuka that she's still growing up and is not that different from Shinji. It is curious to point out that the same way that Misato is minimizing Asuka, the tough Navy men aboard treats Misato the same way. She has not earned their respect. This is intentional. As on the previous episode, the director is telling us that Misato is a woman on a men's world, and she feels that she has to prove herself everywhere she goes. This frustrates her. However, she remains professional and plays along, stating her role and her presence on the convoy, and she takes the opportunity to remind everyone that in case of an angel attack, she will be the officer in charge. Then we are introduced to our favorite spy, Kaji. As soon as Misato sees Kaji, we know that they share a story, one that brings happiness to Kaji, but irritates Misato. This may be a surprise to the audience, as we finally are introduced to a Misato's love interest. And yes, he's a grown man. We can feel that Kaji's presence represents a direct defiance to Misato's authority figure. As she loses control over Kaji's comment in front of the children, all of them feel intimidated by Misato's reaction, except for Kaji. He keeps his cool. He is obviously under control. He knows Misato's weak spots and is happy to push them, as he knows exactly how her reaction will be. Misato has no control over her feelings or reactions towards Kaji. We know now that this man means a lot to her. We are about to be introduced to Misato's love life on the episodes to come, another layer to explore. Then Gagiel emerges and starts his attack on the convoy. Misato is more than happy to prove herself once again to those mean tough guys that mistreated her. While Misato is fighting with the Admiral for control of the operation, we see how Misato just melts for Kaji when she's excited. For nothing really, as he leaves her behind. Tough luck. Once again, and with Kaji out of the picture, we see Misato's professionalism as she brings comfort to the pilots, making it look like everything will be turned alright. She trusts Shinji's and Asuka's capabilities, and they won't fail on that trust. Misato has earned the respect of the tough Navy men, and they see how confident she is on leading the battle and has an answer for every situation. Also, she's the only one that trusts 100% on Shinji, when even Asuka is insulting him and making him uncomfortable. She knows that Asuka is losing control of the EVA Unit 2, but Shinji is experienced enough to regain it, and he does it. We know how the rest of the story goes. Shinji and Asuka are able to defeat Gagiel, and we are left with a disappointed Misato towards Kaji's action, as he just abandoned her. And that is all for the second part of this character study. Again, I know that episode 7 analysis took a big portion of this video, but it's crucial to understand Misato's character complexity. As we move forward on her story, we will discover how all these traits that we are exploring will develop and will turn into the great character that she is. In a few days I will be uploading the third part of this series. If you haven't subscribed already, do it, so you won't miss out. Like the video if you did. Also, if you haven't watched the first part yet, you can find it here. I publish Evangelion and other anime related content on my channel every week. Thank you all so much for watching, and I wish you all a great day.